On the morning of February 17, 2003, the director of the Antwerp Diamond Center descended to the sub-basement. The 3-ton bulletproof steel door was locked. The magnetic seals were completely intact. The seismic sensors were sleeping. The control panel displayed a steady green light, confirming that no one had tripped the infrared beams over the weekend. The director turned a foot-long metal key, punched in a code from 100 million possible combinations, and pulled the massive handle toward himself. Inside, there was absolute silence. But the floor was covered in a soft, lifelessly rustling carpet of empty velvet pouches, scattered documents, and cracked plastic containers. 109 out of 160 steel safe deposit boxes had been gutted. The thieves had walked away with diamonds, gold, and securities totaling over $100 million. Not a single alarm in the building had made a sound. This was the beginning of the most humiliating defeat of corporate security in the 21st century. The Antwerp Diamond Center was considered a place where the very concept of theft lacked physical meaning. It was an impregnable fortress, the beating heart of the global diamond trade, through which 80% of the world's uncut diamonds passed. Just to approach the building, you had to navigate armed patrols and vehicular barricades on the street. To descend into the vault itself, you had to clear multiple security checkpoints, metal detectors, and biometric scanners. The vault was a steel cube entrenched in a solid concrete foundation. The safe door could withstand a direct hit from an RPG and 12 hours of continuous drilling with diamond-tipped bits. Inside the room, a Doppler radar reacted to the slightest fluctuation in magnetic waves. Thermal sensors scanned the space for human body heat. Light sensors were primed to trigger at the strike of a match. Magnetic contacts monitored the integrity of every single lock. The architects of this multi-layered system genuinely believed that breaching it would require a small army of mercenaries and heavy artillery. On paper, the plan was flawless. The engineers had accounted for every conceivable threat, except for human patience.
Leonardo Notarbartolo looked nothing like a bank robber from a Hollywood action flick. He was a representative of the so-called Turin school of thieves, a closed caste of Italian professionals for whom a heist was never an act of aggression, but a masterpiece of subtle social engineering. Their ultimate weapon was time. 3 years prior to the heist, Leonardo moved to Antwerp. He rented a small office right inside the Diamond Center, presenting himself as a modest gem merchant. He wore expensive wool suits, smelled of good cologne, and always had a warm smile ready. Month after month, he spun an invisible web of trust. He bought the security guards hot espresso, brought them fresh pastries, and chatted with them about soccer scores. He became part of the furniture, a guy people simply stopped noticing. A security system is always blind to a genuine smile. While Leonardo sipped his coffee, a microscopic camera retrofitted into his fountain pen recorded every inch of the corridors, every angle of the surveillance cameras, and every twist of the key in the director's hands. Back in Italy, Notarbartolo's crew built an exact, full-scale replica of the vault inside an abandoned hangar. They trained for months, honing their movements into pure muscle memory in absolute darkness. They prepared for this descent as if they were training for a spacewalk. The actual hack of reality took place over a long Valentine's Day weekend. On Friday evening, Leonardo went down to the vault under the guise of dropping off some paperwork in his box. When the guard looked away for a fraction of a second, the Italian sprayed a perfectly even coat of clear women's hairspray over the door's thermal sensor. For $3 at a local drugstore, he had bought a tool that temporarily cooled the sensor and created a microscopic insulating film over the lens, blinding an infrared system that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Late that night, the crew infiltrated the building through an abandoned neighboring basement, playfully bypassing the street patrols. They rappelled down the elevator shaft. Thus began the phase of absolute silence and cold mathematical calculation. The magnetic field protecting the main armored door was neutralized with a piece of ordinary styrofoam. A pre-cut block of foam and some heavy-duty double-sided tape created a bridge that allowed the magnetic signal to bypass the broken circuit, convincing the mainframe that the door was still shut. The motion-detecting Doppler radar was covered with a custom-made dense silicone shield that absorbed radio waves. The Italians worked in pitch-black darkness. Flashlights were out of the question. The light sensors would have tripped the alarm instantly. They cracked the steel boxes using custom-made tools entirely by touch, guided only by the metallic clicks and ingrained muscle memory. The stale air grew thick with the smell of machine oil, sweat, and adrenaline. For several agonizing hours, they were trapped inside a steel tube 2 stories underground. One wrong move, one metal lockpick dropped on the concrete floor, one accidental shadow over a sensor, and the multi-ton door would have permanently locked down, turning the diamond vault into a mass grave. But they operated with the icy calm of heart surgeons. Millions of dollars in cutting-edge security technology fell victim to hairspray, black electrical tape, and a piece of styrofoam. By Saturday morning, they walked out of the building with duffel bags stuffed to the brim with loose diamonds, gold bullion, and cash. They had achieved the impossible. They had beaten the algorithm.
But the law always waits for that one trivial detail that breaks even the most brilliant mind. The criminals successfully fled Antwerp. They were driving down a dark highway toward the Italian border. In the back seat of their nondescript car sat a plastic garbage bag. Inside were the grocery receipts for the electrical tape, ripped VHS tapes from the center's security cameras, and half-eaten food. Leonardo had planned to burn the bag in Italy, ensuring not a single molecule of evidence was left behind. But one of his accomplices, a guy with the underworld moniker Speedy, suddenly lost his nerve. Panic is the greatest enemy of rationality. Speedy started hyperventilating, consumed by a primal, irrational fear that they would be pulled over for a random border check. He threw a hysterical fit, demanding they ditch the bag immediately, right there on the highway. The car swerved onto a dirt road near a dense patch of woods. Speedy bolted into the darkness and frantically scattered the contents of the bag into the muddy brush, hoping wild animals, wind, and rain would destroy the evidence.
On paper, this nervous breakdown might have gone unnoticed, but humans are flawed and chance is ruthless. The woods where Speedy dumped the trash belonged to Auguste Van Camp, a grumpy, reclusive Belgian landowner. Auguste hated trespassers. The next morning, he was out walking his dog and spotted fresh garbage scattered in his bushes. Enraged, the landowner called the local police to complain about teenagers littering on his property. A patrolman arrived, lazily poked at the branches, and found a torn paper envelope bearing the official seal of the Antwerp Diamond Center. Laying right next to it was a half-eaten Italian salami sandwich. The saliva on that sandwich contained a pristine, uncompromised sample of Leonardo Notarbartolo's DNA. A few feet away lay the supermarket receipt for the women's hairspray. The brilliant architecture of a crime that took 3 years to plan and defeated the best security system in the world was brought down by a half-eaten sandwich and a cheap temper tantrum on a dark highway.
Leonardo was arrested a few weeks later. The trial was swift and the sentence was harsh. The system desperately needed to show the world that it still had teeth, that it could punish those who dared make a laughingstock out of it. But this is where things get truly bizarre. Out of the $100 million stolen that February night, the police recovered practically nothing. The diamonds vanished into the black market without a trace. Leonardo Notarbartolo served his time, never breaking omertà, never giving up a single accomplice or potential buyer. However, in the few interviews he gave after his release, he voiced a theory that sent chills down the spines of international insurance companies.
Leonardo claimed that the heist of the century was a well-paid piece of theater. He stated that when his crew cracked the safe deposit boxes that night, the vast majority of them were already completely empty. According to him, out of the supposed 100 million, they walked away with barely 20. The rest was an illusion. It was a dirty corporate game played by the high-ranking jewelers and diamond merchants themselves, who knew about the impending heist in advance, intentionally gutted their own safes, and then filed claims for colossal government insurance payouts after the robbery made global headlines. The Italian thieves genuinely believed they were robbing the system, but it's highly possible the system was simply using them as a convenient blind tool to launder a staggering amount of shadow money. They built a safe that explosives couldn't breach, but they forgot that the safe belonged to human beings, and human beings always want to double their profit.
And now, the ultimate question, the one the investigation never managed to answer. Do you actually believe that a genius Italian mastermind who calculated every millimeter of the heist truly fell victim to an accomplice's panic attack and a tossed salami sandwich? Or was this highly publicized arrest, complete with $100 million missing dollars, just part of a massive backroom deal, where Leonardo's long prison sentence was simply the pre-negotiated price for eternal silence regarding the crimes of the jewelers themselves?